Maybe just to give you a little bit of a background, I know you may have read my bio. I started my shared services, so GBS journey in Singapore about 10 years ago. So today my friend from Accenture, somewhere over there, he was one of those guys who helped me learn a little bit about shared services, what it is and how to get it quickly implemented. So we did a very quick implementation in Asia Pacific, started from scratch and transformed the entire region in about 2.5 years. So not a marketing, but it's true, Accenture delivered. So we set up Shared Service Center in Tianjin and Bangalore. And after that, as part of a global journey, I moved to Belgium. Initially, I thought, coming back home to Europe, it will be easy, just to realize that things haven't changed. You don't know how difficult Europeans are unless you lived in Asia. So I did a bit of shared service transformation there as well. Set up shared service for internal controls for European operations in South America. And surprisingly, that group is in Belgium, in Brussels. Similarly, we set up a new consolidation shared service center, which was a relatively small group. And then continued on with transformation in Europe. Unfortunately, as probably Sanjay has felt, the economy is not kind to resource industry, and Caterpillar was part of that. So I was asked to return back to Australia, where there was absolutely nothing, or go back to cold Sweden and try to swim across to one of those islands where we had a plant. Instead, I decided to just leave the company, enjoy more dynamic business. Company called Regus. I'm not supposed to be actually talking about it. It's been demarked, so legal department does not like me to share all this information that I initially planned. So with that, I became head of a very, very fast-growing global shared service center, a completely different organization from what I have left before. So when I talk about my experience, even though we did a great job here in Asia Pacific, the difference between GBS in my organization A and organization B is completely different. So about 2 years ago, I was at this great conference in Budapest organized by another company, where I heard this analogy. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to retell it, if it's legally allowed, but the guy said something along those lines. GBS is like teenage sex. Everybody is talking about it, but those, and they're saying that they're doing it, but those who are doing it, they're not good at it. Anyway, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, because I thought I just did a GBS. So what happened in between is that I truly learned that those who are really doing it, they're not talking about it. Are they good at it? Well, I don't know. It feels good when I'm standing, and it feels better every time we do another one. So with that, I'll start my story on the GBS journey and how to get it moving fast. So we'll talk a little bit about GBS framework that helps you get to the end of the journey, that helps you quickly collect all these rewards that are out there. And believe me, the difference is huge. We'll talk a little bit about the service catalog that I am responsible for in one of those companies, success stories that we have achieved, and lessons learned. So hopefully that you guys will be able to apply some of that in your journey. First of all, when it comes to GBS framework, there are always, two things that you need to dance, or two people to dance. One, which I have not seen in every organization I've worked for, is the push factors. And Generally, traditional companies, they don't like to enforce things. So those super big companies, $100+ million, they tend to let others make their own decisions because they believe their managers are capable in identifying the right strategy and helping company to grow. So in the organization that managed to very successfully implement the GBS and move to what I call a single location to support 120 countries, 3,500 businesses from a single place. It's amazing. And this is why I said, every time we do a new transition, it feels better. Well, to make it work, first of all, we had to align the business objectives to the GBS objectives. And it was very simple. All we want to do is to remove all admin work. So that tells you a lot about scope and the way that we approach scope. When I started with my friends from Accenture, they gave us a catalog and they told us this is what everybody else does. Well, should we limit ourselves to the scope that we think traditionally we should be doing? Perhaps not. In my view, the scope is limited to your imagination. And I'll give you an example about scope of services that, in my view, was impossible to deliver from a central location somewhere in Asia or in Europe. We wanted to free up business center resources, let them focus on customer, and actively look for more customer. Really drive value, drive that revenue growth. As I said, I've seen this in two different scenarios, but the outcome is completely different. Okay, why? Well, first of all, if you want to get it done quickly and very efficiently, you need both direction. You need to have business. In our case, it was a very simple that all supporting jobs can only be hired or opened in a shared service or GBS location. You can't hire anybody else anywhere else. So unless it's a business related, looking after customer, you can't hire people. Incentives, and I'll talk about incentives in a minute and what we really mean by that. Okay, I'm going. No? Yes? Fine. So these are push factors in driving that GBS journey, in getting to that single shared service center. And pull factors are really, linked to the maturity of the shared service center, on a quality of services that we provide. As you start, and I think Sanjay just mentioned, they've been asked to provide new services with increase in customer satisfaction, with improvement in your service delivery model. You will be asked very often to take on new activities. In my case, recently I was told to take over something that traditionally is a very local activity, and we said no, we're not experts, it's too risky. If we fail, we may damage the business, so we refused to take over, and business was not very happy. End-to-end service delivery. I think this is really value, and many times people refer to talent management. With the move to business services, the best place to train your people is really in the shared services or GBS or whatever you call it, because we are fully responsible for the end-to-end service delivery. We know how to do it, and if you take somebody like that into business, they will be in a better position to drive value and maybe helping increase the revenue. Cost benefits. Now, there are a number of different ways you can look at cost benefits, and I suppose my next slide will explain who cares about cost benefits. Okay, our GBS model is very closely aligned to corporate strategy. It's driven by corporate mandate, and for some of you guys who don't prefer that term, it may be just something else. I know I've done recently a doctoral research on effectiveness of shared services in Europe. And German companies, they don't like to hear that term. They call it directive, but it's no different to a corporate mandate. You can't challenge it, and you have to move forward. So organizational structure, and how do we then really utilize this to pull the services into GBS and help us move faster towards that single location, to that end-to-end process delivery model? Well, I think the secret in my experience is around the chargeback model. Different people have different preferences. In one case, I spent quite a lot of time on preparing a very detailed chargeback model. I was told this is a super good tool to drive customer behavior. Is it? Okay. I know it's a super good tool if you want to make some money, and you know how to do it, but very simple. Customer behavior can be driven also by monitoring compliance with policies. Why do you have to charge somebody 5 cents extra or $1 extra for not using PO? You can simply show them how many times they have failed to follow the corporate procedure and policies, and maybe highlight it to your leadership. It is our money. Why do we need to fight around a dollar that is in the left or the right pocket? So customer behavior, two different organizations running two different complete shows depending on how they organize their chargeback model. Is it important? Absolutely. We need to know what is our chargeback model and how we want to do it. But what is, I think, differentiator in that chargeback model is where do you report your cost? Is it above or below the P&L line? So if you think about it, if you have a chargeback model and you charge your customer for every transaction, what's going to happen? The involvement is very high. They're going to be questioning you on quality of services that you provide. Okay, is that the right way to do it? Maybe yes, maybe no. But just like, you know, product manager is responsible for delivering a high quality product, let's say a Toyota as an example, a product manager responsible for delivering quality Toyota out on the street, so is the head of GBS or COO or CFO responsible for delivering an efficient service in his own organization. So if you manage to get that mindset out there and start getting your customer to believe that you know what you're doing and that you know how you're delivering your services, you manage to prove the improvements and the cost efficiency that you have managed to deliver, then they will probably not be so much interested in chasing you around. Of course, quality is important and we report it, but if they are not directly paying for that, this is the incentive I was talking about. If your chargeback is not being reported in their P&L, they'll be more incentivized to give you more and more work. Why? Well, they are reducing their cost 100% by moving services to you. And it becomes your problem how you manage that cost in the future. Okay. Personally, I still believe that there is a need for stakeholder involvement, probably at the moderate level. Sanjay has shared, I think, governance structure there where you have operational, tactical, and strategic governance meetings. I slightly like to change the way we look at this governance structure. I call it operational or relationship building meeting that I believe is very critical. Why? Well, in my view, the relationship is built at that processor level and the customer that they're interfacing. If we manage to equip our processes in a way to deal with that customer, we're not going to see any escalations. I think the gentleman from Berkeley University yesterday shared one very good example. In the first scenario, the IT person response did not look very good, whereas the second time, even though he could not resolve the issue, the response was very positive. That's the way how I look at the day-to-day operations. And then we just come to maybe just windows dressing, sharing our SLAs, our KPIs, and having a more friendly and more relaxed discussion in our monthly meetings. And interestingly, in our case where we have in-house shared services, at the beginning you get everybody to participate in your monthly meeting to see what is it that you deliver. If you do deliver very good service, within 6 to 12 months nobody wants to show up. So these things become irrelevant and then potentially dangerous for the shared service center or the GBS, because you are not telling the story that you are delivering every day, and people may start having, second thoughts on what is it that you do. So having a moderate interaction is absolutely, in my view, required. Somebody asked a question this morning about the shared service journey. So I can tell you, if you, at least in my experience, if you want to get something out there, it's going to be a long journey. Successful companies have managed to get there in 5 years, but again, there is a difference between GBS and the GBS. If you just want to name a bunch of people at GBS, you can do it overnight. Okay? Don't know how many of you have heard about shared services called across the globe. I think that was the first wave of shared services in many companies, just because they report to the same CFO. Nothing changed. They're still sitting in the same seat, but they are now shared service center. Oh, shared services. So initially, and I think depending on your company culture and appetite for risk, what I've seen is a multiple sites being set up across the globe. As an example, in Germany, due to regulations and maybe cultural values, most of the companies that I have talked to, banks, insurance companies, and so forth, have moved their shared service center from Frankfurt, being the center of finance in Germany, to a very small town in North Rhine-Westphalia. Was that a shared service center move? Did they manage to achieve what others have done? Absolutely. In fact, most of them achieved 50% saving by locating from a top-tier city in Germany to a tier 2 city. Similar example in Russia. One of the Russian telecom companies moved from Moscow 300 kilometers south, and they managed to save 30%. So these are kind of shared services that or what they call GBS, that they have started with. Clearly, at the beginning, we did not have standard operating process, inconsistency in quality and cost, lack of visibility to cost of operation. Another thing that's very, very important, especially for those of you who are still thinking about shared services, is transparency. It is incredible how much we don't know about finance unless you move it somewhere else. So once you start your journey, you'll understand the new phenomenon about finance and accounting, and you will be, as a customer, starting to demand this new transparent reports out there to be able to measure their performance. Varying customer services. Growth breeds complexity and at the cost, again, depending on which company you talk about. I had the pleasure to work in this company during 2011. I think we were setting up about 16 companies in China. And just before that, we managed to put up a shared service center. So what I have seen there is the ability to set up a new business, new manufacturing site was incredible. We did not need to go and search for consultant to help us implement ERP. We already had it. It was just a matter of copying, the existing instance, and to some extent we used the technical expertise to fine-tune certain things. It was very easy. We had in-house expertise, accountants sitting already in the facility, don't need to worry about hiring new. So super value-added activity that normally is not reported anywhere. Nobody talks about it. It's about how do we reduce that cost. But once you have that shared service center, you truly realize what is out there and values you can achieve. So transformational journey took us a bit of time to migrate to standard processes. We implemented Lean Six Sigma. We added some enabling technologies and aligned our GBS objectives to operational objectives. As I said, right now we are serving quite a lot of customers in 100 and as I said, 20 countries, 800 to 900 locations. The growth is, I suppose I can disclose what's in the statements. Last year growth was about 23%, and having a GBS to take care of these things, it's absolute benefit in improving that growth. Moving toward global standard processes, define change management protocols, measurable and visible performance of quality metrics. Now, as you can imagine, serving very large customer base across the globe can be a problem as well. Different people have different expectations. And we talked yesterday in a different session. If they're paying for money, they would like to see a Ferrari. If they pay extra money, they like to see a Ferrari that can actually fly. If they don't pay anything, they're pretty okay with Toyota. And clearly one thing that that we have seen is GBS absolute enabler of growth. Not every company is experiencing growth nowadays, but at the same time, as I said, in my research, banking industry in Europe is hit very hard with the almost contraction of the industry. And what they are doing right now is leveraging their shared service centers to really size down their labor force. And whoever was working in Europe, they'll know how difficult it is to fire somebody. It's almost more difficult than Manila. Yeah? So they have very, very tough labor code out there, and if you try to remove your employees, it costs you a lot of money. So with that, we'll go to the next slide that talks about service catalog. All right, what do we do in a GBS, single GBS globally, one location? We do a lot. IT, accounting and controls. So this is your managerial accounting as well as your transactional finance. Okay, supporting a business across the entire globe. Billing, accounts payable, plus some procurement stuff. Accounts receivable, debt management, collections. Can we do collections everywhere? No, we don't speak languages. The only language that we speak is English. Right? What we do support partially that process to the extent that we can. Okay? And then we leverage our partners in country to do the rest for us. Project management and transformation. Okay, all project management, all transformation, all the shared services transformation across globe was done out of Manila. business controls, process improvement. As I said, we recently launched Six Sigma. And I have to say, for those who have been working maybe with Filipino people, I was very impressed. You know, first they appear to be shy, but when we called for the transformational journey, in less than 2 months, I managed to get 400 ideas. So if you get down and start understanding your people and manage to engage them, the reward is enormous. We provide some human resource services, training and development, do some payroll, not everywhere, do some payroll administration, finance, sales, booking, system administration, so ERP administration, global treasury, not everywhere, but a quite large piece, internal audit, so our guys are now flying from Manila across the globe to do the internal audits. Global pricing, inventory, group reporting. I think Sanjay mentioned something earlier. You know, it's not imaginable, but yes, we do that in Manila. And I think there was an early question on analytics. Where is the better place to do analytics than in GSC? You own the data, you have access to backup, and you can clearly understand, you know, what's going on. So if you have good tools, you can do all that analytics. One thing that I learned in my early days is when we started doing some consolidation, some analytics, we found this huge variation, looked abnormal. We all raised hands, went to the CFO, just to understand this was a normal transaction. Unfortunately, we did not have access to data to verify. So if you are doing that from shared services, you get opportunity to talk to people who actually process transaction and get to know a little bit more inside. Customer service support, property administration. Okay, it's a new service line. Business development, workspace planning. Sanjay, if you told us you had a problem in Chennai, was it Chennai? We could help you because one of our promising of future revenue generating product is supported out of GSC. Okay, and then let's just talk a little bit about success stories. So we do manage to close our financial books, including the managerial books, in 4 days. So data is transmitted to group in 4 days, and the most important thing, we get all regional CFOs to sign off in that time. Process vendor invoicing in 48 hours while meeting 99 quality target expectations. Timely and accurate billing across the globe. Keeping IT infrastructure up and running, again, across the globe. This is our lifeline. Our customer depend on our IT sitting in Manila. If they fail to maintain that internet link, we're in trouble. Maintaining the price and inventory between 8 to 4 hours. So we do operate 24 hours, 6 days almost. And ensuring customer satisfaction above given target. Maintaining employee engagement above 85. ENPS, we had a bit of a discussion on ENPS. I have to tell you guys, this is a super exciting story. About first quarter this year, my ENPS was very low. It was still positive, but very low, about 7 points. In the last 2 quarters, just with a small change in the way that we were communicating to our people, telling them what we already do, we managed to increase it to 41%, 41 points. We haven't done a super big change in the organization. We just told them what we already did and had a little bit more fun in doing it. Right? So there's nothing wrong to have a bit of fun with your people, play some bowling, and maybe take them out for a great dinner. Deploying staff or developing staff into leaders. Until recently, I was the head of GSC as part of my role, It's been split into two. Now our new managing director is local Filipino, and I'm assuming the role of finance director for another maybe year or two until I move on and we transfer this completely to local staff. So that's our goal, and ensuring that we deliver on this promise. Enabling growth and rolling out Six Sigma, and maybe it would be good to know that we pretty much did it with zero budget. I think one of the things I learned is if you think outside the box, you know, I was told, why do you need resources? You have 800 people. Why do you need resources for Six Sigma? And they were right. All I needed to do is, you know, use my existing headcount and get the right skill set in the organization who could roll this out internally without much cost. So it's possible once you put at a test, you know, you can deliver. Lesson learned, gaining buy-in, support from senior management, absolutely. GBS must be mandated. If it's not, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Based on some research numbers that I have managed to collect, I was told that the cost of not having a mandate is between 50 and 60% of the transformation. So it's up to you guys how you want to use that money. Secure best resources. It's all about people. Don't believe anybody, anything else. If you have right people, they have right attitude, you can achieve great things. Challenge languages, culture, funding, and retaining great people. I think in particular in Manila, it's a vibrant economy. We have super growth there, and keeping people around is very difficult. Delivering success early in game. Everybody likes to tell good story. How many of you have told your boss that you didn't deliver your results? All right, you keep quiet, but when something good, you want to tell everybody. That's what people like. I've got a few takeaway. So in interest of time, I'm not going to go through this. Please read it. If you have some questions, I'd like to answer them before I depart from this stage.
How do you ensure business continuity from just one location in the event of a disaster in Manila? Well, of course, you've got 3,000 locations worldwide, right? So you just move.
There's this great company that does something that helps us out, so we have a choice. And we are client of Regus Business Recovery product. That's it.
Okay, good. One other one that I think, or maybe time for two more. With reference to the service catalogue, how do you maintain independence when internal audit is within GBS?
Internal audit within GBS. Well, each of these service groups is managed by a separate team. So yes, they report to a managing director, but they are completely independent. So we don't see an issue with that.
Okay, good. Last question then. What is your level of process standardization globally? And how do you convince all the countries to change when it may lead to more processes in some countries?
Okay, it's a super good question. First of all, different services are different maturity level. Okay, we just took over some new services, so we are only starting and we are still in process of standardizing. In other cases, we are way down the track. How do you maintain or how do you convince them? Well, you don't. Once you're in GBS, you own the full end-to-end process. How you deliver it, it's up to you. The customer doesn't even know what we do internally. What he wants to see is that he sends a request and he's been serviced within a certain period of time and he's got his output. So, you know, the same old same, that's why I hear it. When I ask why didn't we standardize certain process, they say, well, our customers are not supporting us. I say, which customers? How do they know what do you do in the background? They really don't have that visibility. So it's really state of mind. Initially, it was most difficult to get our finance people to start thinking like owner of the process. Once we managed to get over that hump, things started aligning. And yes, we still have a long way to go. Therefore, you know, we have a little bit more, hopefully, savings to generate over next year or two. But it is very easier to do it once you own the process than when you share it with somebody else.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Omer.
Thank you, guys.